Hello, German. My wife is Irish Slovak, so I'm like, oh, maybe that's why they like her, right? So I thought, well, I could just draw like a random gal, but I think I'm gonna draw Olivia Rodrigo. And if you want to see us, it's the image I'm gonna be using right here. So let's get started. Can start sketching. So we're about 10 minutes in, which is pretty good. So I'm sure I can probably get this done in under an hour, but we shall see. Yeah. So hope everybody's good. What's going on here? Aha, there we go. I was wondering what's going on with that. So, oh, that's fine. Yeah. You can do what you need to do. I'm not forcing you to be here. If I were, I'd probably be asking you to subscribe and all that good stuff. But I know people have stuff going on. It's fine. We'll see how I do on this drawing. I have a few minutes. Kind of play around. Catch up. Yeah, I thought it very interesting. So I didn't even know who this. I mean, I kind of knew who this this gal was. Just because, yeah, my daughters had talked about her, and some of my students in pre-college were fans of her work. But then I'm like, oh, and then my son, my older son, was like, hey, all he said was like, oh, you know, this song, Good For You, really is a banger. So I'm like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who sings Good For You. So I looked up on Spotify, and lo and behold, there's Olivia Rodrigo. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm like, yeah, she's like my daughters. So in some ways, it's sort of like me drawing one of my gals, my daughters. Let's see how good I can do here. I have a few moments. I think I will not be on Daily Tech News Show this Friday. I will know a little bit better, probably in the next day, whether or not I'm on it. I have a gig, possibly. So that's why I cannot do it. I like her look because she's a little bit generic, and I say that in the nicest way. I mean, she's a very attractive young lady, but you know, she's got like a really good kind of classic look, and seems to be pretty easy to draw. We'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be a hot one. That's so funny. Yeah, you know, I feel the same way, Biocow. I'm like, I don't really know who this character was. I mean, character, jeez, she's not a character. I mean, peripherally I knew who she was because of my daughters, but yeah, I don't, you know, I try to stay hip and active in the music scene. Try to know as best I can. Gonna mess with her head a little bit. There we go. Hot one today, I was saying. It's very hot today in Cleveland. For those of you who that's so funny. Well, apparently, BioCow, your wife is much more hip than you are. My wife doesn't listen to much new music, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, she finds most of it sort of annoying. I try to get her into some new music, but she's just not having it. She's really sort of into her old music. Which is nothing wrong. It's good to be well-rounded. She's the cool one. I hate to say this. I think I'm the cool one. I don't know. I don't know. My wife's cool, I guess. She just doesn't get into... You know, here's the other funny thing. So I just finished teaching a bunch of high schoolers. They're going to be seniors in high school, so very young. And I got called out for some of my terminology. I said things were hip. And oh boy, don't call anything hip, guys. Just so you know, if you're older, if you're older than anyone going into high school, apparently you can't say hip. Like, that's like hip. They were like, what? That's, oh yeah, things are hip, right? And I'm like, what's wrong with saying something's hip? But apparently you can't do it. So just be aware that terminology is not cool, right? Let's see here. All right, that seems pretty cool. That seems pretty hip. Hip, groovy. Yeah, groovy. I guess that's what it is, BioCai. You're right. Can't say hip. That's not cool anymore. Hip. I don't know. Whatever. Hepcat. I don't know. All right, that looks pretty good. 10-minute sketch. There you go, folks. All right, so let's lock that puppy off. Let's start building it. think pencils can go beneath. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So I'm going to start putting some color down for Miss Rodrigo. You know, thank you for being here, BioCow. It keeps it so much more interesting than me just talking to myself. There you go. That's right. This goes above. I would play Olivia Rodrigo's music, but that would be illegal. So, ooh, I better save this off. Let's see, Twitch is an art. There we go. All right, let's get some clothes on this young lady. Okay. Pretty hip clothing she's wearing. Cool. All right. Okay. Yeah, bee's knees is good to say. We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you for being here. Hopefully more people show up as it goes along. Hope so. See ya, bye, cow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a friend. All right, let's get hair in here. This is just a quick way of getting some shape and form into the drawing. I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna try to find a pretty good brush to use. I think that's important. Square brush any good? Yeah. Angle brush, maybe. I don't know if that's any good. I don't know if I like that. Let's see. I gotta find a good brush to do this with. pulling that together. Let's see. Little by little, kind of build it up. All right, I'm happy with that so far. I can sort of keep building this. All right, let's let's see if I can get her face right. I have these brushes that I use that really help speed up the process. For sure they do. Yeah, it's much easier to work with, and looks nice. All right, let's get her eyes sort of figured out here. Just gonna get her eyes sort of figured out. This is important. I can get her eyes kind of placed where I want them, and then once I add the specular highlights, things start really coming to life on her. Okay. This is pretty important stuff here. get her nose sort of laid out here. All right, and then let's get let's see where we can go with her teeth. And I'll back up here and see how we're looking. Alright, that's something to work with. Let's turn the pencils off there. Alright, that's pretty good. Oops. Oopsie. Choose a color, choose the right color. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. I can work with this. Alright, let's get some shadows going. So, whoops. This is where I start using the wonderful clipping masks. Oh, hello Casino, thanks. I know there's somebody else here. I don't know who that is. Alright, so we're gonna get, we're gonna start building this up. I'm gonna get a little bit closer on her. So yeah, so this is pretty important. Kind of building up the look of her. We're gonna do this as best we can here. I'm working only right now on the skin layer. Just on her face, and I'm gonna get as best I can all right, so I'm gonna work on her nose. Just sort of build up the color there, just to kind of give some dimension. And it's already sort of coming together, which is nice. nice thing about this, it's very subtle. Very subtle. So you can just drop some really quick shadows here that will allow us to kind of build up the dimensions of her face. It's coming together. Well, it looks pretty good. All right, that looks pretty good. I can work with that. I'm going to get shadow on her neck. Just to, once again, kind of build up that up a little more. You can kind of see I'm getting a little bit darker on the neck there. All right. I'm going to work on her hair a little bit here. Yeah, there you go. Nice. I'm going to pull this out of here because I think I'm going to do that more. Let's see here. Hang on. Maybe I'll try to do this a little bit more ad hoc. Oh, dang it. You gotta be careful. See, sometimes brushes will do what you want them to do. Other times, not so much. So I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I can use a brush to do this. But it's probably easier for me to just do it, like I said, ad hoc. And you notice what I'm doing as I'm going along, I'm kind of sculpting her a little bit. I'm going to fix her eye because I feel that that's not really working the way that I want it to. So this is the shape of it's a little bit off. This is why it helps to work on different layers. Now I'm going to add a little bit of light to her eye, and you'll see how that's sort of going to change. Just enough to bring her to life. All right. I'm gonna play with some things here. Hang on a second. It's gonna look a little bit strange. There we go. Alright, now I'm gonna start adding a little specular highlights to her face. This will be very subtle. Very, very subtle. It's just enough. Just enough to lighten her up. So we're gonna play around with making her lips a little bright. Just enough, right? It's just enough. You see, I left these old lines here just to bump some shadow along them, just enough so that it's very evident. So pull off here a little bit. Nice. Now what I'm doing is I'm just pulling in some shadow here and there, just to add a little bit more shape to her face. Cool. All right, so let's start working on the hair. I gotta go back. And I wanna sculpt this a little bit better. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some shadow through this and see what that does. Once again, using our beloved clipping mask. It's so funny, I went searching for a brush that did hair very well, and I've been using this brush called the hairbrush for years, and I sort of abandoned it because I'm like, the hairbrush that's doing something else. It's not exactly what I want. Turns out that the hairbrush weirdly enough does exactly what I want it to do. It makes it look like hair. Go figure. So now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of pulling this through and sort of letting the hairbrush do its thing. Now I'm going to pull some speck through this, and let me see if I can get this to work. I think linear dodge is the way to go. So I'm going to do a combination of this brush, and there's another brush I use called the crosshair brush, which also does some really cool highlighting. I think between those two brushes I will get exactly the technique I'm looking for. Sometimes you end up finding brushes that do exactly as you want them to do. And it's like, just use them, you know? So I'm going to add some texture to this. And then I'm going to add some ad hoc stuff.